Welcome everyone, you're back to Guy Dawson's show. Before commercial breaks, we have Leo going to talk about Chinese, English, Google Translator, or maybe some new version translator.
Okay. Well, natural language translation is, of course, got a lot of difficulties in it because there are things like colloquial language that don't easily translate back and forth. Back in the 60s, there was a famous designer for one of the car firms. His name was Fisher, and so one of the big selling points was "body by Fisher." So they translated that into Japanese, and when they retranslated it back into English, it came out "corpse by Fisher," because the context of the body design didn't have a natural analog in another language. So the same problem, of course, then occurs in languages which are arranged, primarily from pictograms, such as Chinese. And so it's a very, very difficult project to understand the context and the meaning, behind things. For example, if you even look at things like British humor, even though it's in the English language, it is largely incomprehensible to people who don't know the current British political situation upon which most of their humor is actually based. So if you don't happen to know what the current status of the politics is in Great Britain, a lot of their humor actually tends to fall somewhat flat, except for things that are universal like Benny Hill, because that was more based on more adult types of humor that was visual and didn't really have any basis in anything other than just slapstick type comedy, which is a more understandable, universal type humor.
So are you more comedian or you are computer guy?
Well, I'm a computer expert with a sense of humor.
I think your sense of humor definitely taken over your computer business.
Well, yeah, some people have told me I should do stand-up, and I really didn't think that was the direction I wanted to go in.
Why not?
No, I
You're
never.
Totally overqualified.
No, it's not a matter of qualification. It's just that much of my humor is so dry that you don't even realize I've told the joke. It could fall flat on that basis. But what I go for are clever jokes. All right. Here's as an example. When I was at MIT, I majored in physics, and many of the people that I went to school with at MIT in physics went to work for places like Livermore National Labs. They went into work at the Atomic Weapons Design Division. So I came up with a pun for them. That was based on a clever pun. So I said, Mr. Phelps is the Design Division General Manager, and he's in his office berating one of his employees, saying, I don't care that your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather invented the telegraph. You absolutely cannot use any of his telegraph wire in any of your atomic weapons designs. They simply won't work. I'm putting all of your designs in a file marked Fission Impossible Morse.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, I punned back the popular 1960s TV show Mission Impossible Force. They thought that was the cleverest thing they had ever heard.
Wow, you use clever. I thought only British English use clever. American English say smart, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's a clever way to pun, and then once you have the pun, then you have to create a joke around it that makes it humorous and clever.
So I wonder, maybe even in your dream, you're still joking around. Your mind just don't stop, always joke around for any subject.
Yes, you should take pity on my poor wife. I do come up with these all the time.
So how about I show your business card to our audience?
Okay. Well, one of the things that I focus on in my business card is I always present my business card the back first. Right?
Maybe you can put on the camera so people can see.
All right.
Cat chase a mouse, the computer mouse.
Is that good?
The middle one.
Okay, I'm a little bit behind here. All right.
So your
is that close enough?
Cats?
All right. So what I have on the back of my business card is I have a little picture a friend of mine did. Christian Nichols designed this for me. And it has our cat with her paw on a computer mouse, atop which sits a little tiny mouse. All right. And so I hand my card that way. And I tell people, hey, you know why our cat's an expert on the computer? And then at the bottom it says she's really quick on the mouse. And then I turn the card over. All right. So once I've made them laugh, that has improved their memory of me. just by the act of making someone laugh, you help improve how they remember you. And then I give them the card, this way, and they say, well, wow, that's a really big phone number. I say, well, many of my customers take my card and they tape it at the bottom of their monitor, and even at arm's length, you can easily read that phone number. That makes it very easy for my customers to get in touch with me.
It's a good way advertising your business, very smart. You have a marketing idea in your head. So beside your jokes, we need to come back to Caritha about your journalist life. What is one message you would like to share with everyone who is listening, watching this show?
One message I'd like to share. I really wish there was more objective news. I feel like everything is so biased, one way or another. And I feel like there needs to be a lot more objective news. And I feel like the other news sources that you can look at, that you can make yourself more aware if you'd like to, are out there, like Al Jazeera and ProPublica, and there's different news sources that, and even international news. I find that actually British news, BBC News, I end up watching that a lot. Yeah. And what's funny is they feature us a lot in their news, but you get a completely different take on it, and it's really good to know what the international perspective of our country is, especially everything that's happening right now around the world. So, I'm all about promoting awareness, being more aware of what's going on, being aware of different perspectives, and being more objective in how news is brought across. I feel like that there needs to be a lot more of that in the world for sure. So as a journalist, that would definitely be, part of my main messages is being, having a lot of integrity, making sure my sources are reliable, making sure that my news is objective, and that I'm appealing to a much more universal audience that way too. I think that's really, really, really important. Yeah.
So how about the Chinese part? You're going to mix some special perspectives from what the Asian Chinese people see and think. For what's going on in this country. Would you be interested? That's a special perspective.
Absolutely. I would be totally interested in anybody's perspective, especially, coming from China. And, for me, it would be all about going to China and visiting with people from China and exploring the country and sampling food and, sampling their culture, understanding their culture, and understanding their perspective, and and the ways that they live their lives, and how they really do feel about American people. I think it'd be surprising. I'd love to, I've always seen myself as, because of my history, I used to, with my mom, we used to travel the world because she was in the Air Force for many, many years. And so even when we lived in different countries, we did live in Germany and England at certain times, as well as other locations in the U.S. Even though we lived in those countries, my mom would make it a point to travel to lots of different locations like Kenya, and we would travel all throughout Europe and, different places. And that DNA, the traveling DNA is now in my blood, and
spoiling, right?
Yeah, it is. Like, I feel like I've been in Vegas for way too long.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea. Just see abroad and go over some new world. You have not really eyes being open to that special places, and especially the cultural differences.
Yes,
it's like broaden our mind and the life experiences.
Absolutely.
It definitely is. Yeah, I have not know why your mom have such great vision of life. So that's why you got such impact from.
Definitely. She definitely influenced my journalist perspective for sure. I would love to be an international journalist and travel the world and tell people stories from around the world. That would be incredible if I was able to do that.
So when will you be going over to China or Hong Kong?
When you buy me a ticket.
Maybe computer guy, let's go together.
Let's go.
We need to close a big deal.
I visited Hong Kong and Japan years ago.
Years ago?
Yeah, many years. 25 or so years ago, I went to visit those for a computer conference in Japan.
Oh wow! What is the most exciting thing to you at that trip?
Well, I was very interested to see when you're in the subway in Tokyo. All right, they have people that are packers, And what they do is they stand on the platform, and as people are milling into the car, they start pushing people into the car to fill it as much as possible, because there's a lot of people,
Yes,
in a very small area relatively. And so as they're packing us in, I'm like about 5'11", and I'm looking down on a fairly uniform sea of heads that are just dark hair, all about the same. Can't tell if it's a man or a woman, but they're all about 5'4" to 5'7".
Well, you feel
And
you're
so
like
you
an
do-
ostrich.
Yeah, you just feel like you're standing and looking down on a bunch of people,
You feel you're like
and
a
you can't
giraffe.
move, yeah,
Wow.
until the next exit.
So besides that, what else you like? You like the food over there?
Yeah, I actually had a very nice time in both Japan and Hong Kong for local food.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about your experience over there. Let's go into the quick break. Then when we
Okay.
come back, don't go anywhere. When we come back, Leo will share something exciting with us.